So today is a lovely day and I should have been at Prescott Hill Climb seeing some of my friends in Austin Sevens, but instead I got a puncture at 6:15 in the morning and spent 5 hours waiting for a recovery because I have no spare. So I'm now back home, a little bit fed up, so I've decided to make the most of the rest of the day. I'm going to build myself an engine stand. So I've got a few bits out and I'll show you what I'm up to. So we're going to go outside from the gloom of the garage. That's mid-suspension. That's waiting for some stuff. And we're going to go outside, a couple of motorbikes there, and see what's on the floor out here. So out here, it's very bright, are a couple of engine crankcases, a load of metal, a bit of paper, an angle grinder, and in my head are a few ideas. So I'm basically going to start chopping up metal and I'm going to make an engine stand. So the requirements are: one, I've got to be able to turn the engine upside down in the stand and work from both sides and both ends. Two, I've got to be able to wheel it around. Three, it's got to be simple to make. Four, it's got to be, I've got to be able to take it to pieces or fold it up and store it. Five, I'm sure I'll think of a five. But anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is make some kind of cradle to actually drop the engine in. So that's the first step. So a bit of angle grinding, chopping, and a bit more grinding later. Got these sections, and I'm going to weld that on like that, and I'll weld that on like that, and these are going to form the cradle for the engine. It's not exactly precision engineering, more sort of agricultural, so it doesn't have to be particularly neat, hence the rusty metal, but it does have to be strong, so it's got to be decent weld. Right, that's now all welded up, and for those who are interested, that was 140 amps on, I think, 5mm steel. Anyway, as you can see, this is how it's looking. You can probably get the gist of what's going to happen. Obviously, the engine's going to bolt on there, and then it's going to have a pivot coming out of there onto a couple of A-frames, and the whole thing will swivel upside down. So, and I need to cut a load of holes, and I need to make a plate to go on the side of there, which will bear up against another plate on the A-frame, which provides some friction so that the thing doesn't just, well, you don't need too much torque to tighten it up. Anyway, drill some holes. More grinding, cutting, welding, and the side plates are on. So the side plates are square. They only need to be round, but round is harder than square because it's just more cutting and grinding. I've only taken these corners off just to make it, you know, less of a health hazard, health and safety and all that. You also might wonder why I only effectively tacked this on. I didn't weld it all the way across. One, it doesn't need it. It doesn't add any strength that it needs. Two, if I was to run a bead all the way along there, it would actually bend the metal over as it cools and hardens. It contracts and it bends it. So three, it would have been a waste of time and gas and filler rod. So That's absolutely fine. So as you can see, you can probably guess how it's going to pan out now. So we have 2 more plates, and the plate is going to be attached to an A-frame, and it will pivot around this point. And I made the pivot point in line with the middle of cylinder 3, not the center line, because obviously the flywheel is heavier. So I mean, it's a complete arbitrary guess. You may or may not have the flywheel on, so I made it there anyway. So next up is to make the A-frames, 2 of them, and that's this stuff lying on the floor there. Behold, one A-frame. How did I arrive at that angle and that height, I hear you ask? Well, it feels about right. That's it. And the width at the bottom is 66 centimeters, and 66 is a very good year. So I think I'm going to set it at that, which means I'm going to weld, not all the way down here, of course. I'm going to tack a couple of places there and make 2 sides of this thing, and then we can screw it all together and see how it looks. So A-frame's made, and I've lashed it all together, and it's pretty much, well, it's not finished obviously, but I can now see that it does what it needs to do. So I can get to the flywheel, I can get to front of the engine, I can rotate the thing upside down, get to the crank, get to everything. So what I'm going to do now is that I need to do some cross bracing. I need to obviously brace this apex here, this A-frame. I need to do some cross bracing down there, and I need to have, I'm going to weld this, it's an M10 bolt, metric, I know. I'm going to weld the head so that I've just got a turn handle there so I can clamp it up. And when I've done that, I might even give it a lick of paint, who knows. So whilst I didn't go to Prescott today, at least I did get to build an engine stand. So I suppose I've got something out of today. So yeah, a bit more to finish before I wrap this video up, but a few more bits and bobs, but looking good so far. So there it is. Spent a bit more time putting bracing on the frame and taking a few sharp edges off, but it's looking quite good. I'll give you a quick demo. So obviously this rotates, comes there, take it all the way around like this, and if I want to actually hold it at any particular angle, I can just tighten up these studs which are welded to the inside, and that's it, it's solid. So the only thing I could do now is put little platforms on the bottom of the feet and put casters on it, and I could make a fancier wrench for this, maybe trim these off, and that's pretty much it. I can now use that to build my all singing, all dancing racing engine, which is going to be another story. So that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's useful. Maybe you want to have a crack at making one. Until next time, cheers.